Welcome back to BLOCKTV, and you're watching Chain Breakers, where we get the chance to meet the people shaping the sphere. A company working toward that is STASIS, a tokenization service that seeks to bridge the gap between decentralized finance and the off-chain market through the use of stablecoins. To break this down, we are joined via Zoom by Gregory Klumov, the company CEO and founder. How are you, Gregory?
Very well. What about yourself?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us. So this first question here, why is it that you believe that stablecoins, I mean, your whole platform is built on stablecoins. So why is it that you believe that stablecoins are the most appropriate take on blockchain technology? And then with that, how does that inform how STASIS operates?
Sure. Well, this is a very simple asset. It combines the benefits of the traditional world, like stability and value of traditional currencies, as well as blockchain technology, which provides immutable and irreversible transactions on demand, accessible from anywhere where there is an internet access. And if you try to explain to your, say, grandma or grandpa or some older relatives what Bitcoin is, you might face some troubles. Whether with stablecoin, it's very simple. This is the digital euro. It's available on demand. It's always backed with a conventional euro. You can always sell it back at the same amount, basically.
So you truly feel like it's the way for people to see it as the easiest in blockchain technology, if I'm understanding correctly. So now with that, there's a governance issue, some would say, right? Libra has brought up a lot of question on governance and how things are run. So I'd like to talk about that in the sense of, when discussing STASIS. So according to the website, the STASIS issuing company is owned by and held accountable to the STASIS Foundation. What does accountable mean here in this sense?
That means that the company has no direct shareholders. It's basically a non-profit initiative where stakeholders come on board and oversee the process of subscription redemption to the tokens, as well as the audit. So we have a number of financial intermediaries who are licensed to open up IBAN accounts and operate with clients, and they all provide euro to US settlement. We have more than 5 such companies and more than 10 intermediaries who provide euro to US settlement.
And all of these bodies are then included in the STASIS Foundation, or is that then a separate entity?
So some of them are included. Some of them are separate. They're just testing this business model, because what you have to understand is when a financial intermediary starts settling transaction in this digital asset, they start making money day one by generating commissions out of it. So some of them are allowing us to custody reserves with them. Some are still considering, but it's a good start. And we've been executing on the Libra's vision for more than a year now.
Those are big words there, but we'll touch on Libra a bit later. So in recent news, STASIS announced the newly offered Sellback user interface, UI, fiat off-ramp that is tackling one of the biggest hurdles for stablecoins, which is claimed here to be the decentralization of currency reserves. Why is that an issue? And then how is this new product the solution?
Okay, the question here is what will be the limits of those transactions and how the customer will face the entity that is selling fiat back to him. So what we achieved for now is the customer is able to send up to 250 euro to his IBAN without any KYC. And that's a regulated solution. So that amount will drop next year, but still it offers a very simple solution to sell euros back to traditional fiat currency. What was important is that the customer will be able to select what counterparty he's willing to face, what particular payment institution, and from which custody reserves he's willing to initiate that transfer from. So for now we have 2 options, but there'll be more, and that will help decentralize this reserves cushion behind the stablecoin.
But while I think the key word here is while we're maintaining regulatory compliance. Now I would like to touch on this. So where are you guys located? Where is your platform offered? And then have you experienced, because you said in that answer, this lack of KYC within this particular sect is actually compliant in a regulatory sense. Do you find that you struggle with regulatory compliance?
Well, it's not just us, it's the whole world that struggles, right? There was a recent bill in US that will classify stablecoins as securities, that will basically kill the business model behind all of the dollar-backed stablecoin issuers. What we are doing is we are communicating to multiple regulators from Europe to introduce a concept called e-money 2.0. The Europe already has taken a lead against the United States, regulating some of the digital asset activity. Now the next step forward is required. Of course, there is no single regulation available in the world that will allow all business models around this asset class to survive, but I'm pretty convinced that using 100 years old legislation like United States tries to address this technology is totally not the way to go.
Okay, yeah, well, that's the conversation, right? It's, do we reinvent the wheel on some of these things, or do we not have to? That's the current struggle in the sphere, in the space as a whole, globally. Now, speaking of the States and moving into Libra a bit here, do you think that it is appropriate for Libra to be representing stablecoins worldwide? Because that seems to be what's happening right now. But is that the appropriate thing?
Well, I was shocked myself to know that there is so much public anger towards corporations behind this initiative. But at the same time, I was convinced that the basket of currencies will not work, because mixing a basket of traditional currencies, you're in a sense mixing national policies, monetary policies, and you would wonder, but central banks across the pond, European to Federal Reserves, have different priorities in their monetary policies. So it's impossible to mix that in one basket and anticipate that this will be accepted.
But even so, I think that the argument here could be that, playing devil's advocate a bit here, that Facebook, if anybody's going to make something impossible possible, it's Facebook. With that, do you think that Libra will launch during the second half of 2020 when they claim it will?
Well, we'll see. Facebook already launched their centralized solution for payments, right? So I think this is a wait and see sort of environment, and definitely the single currency backing the digital currency is the way to go short term. But who knows if US to introduce that securities bill to kill dollar-backed stablecoins, then Europe will take a significant lead in the space.
Right, and as you said, you guys have been doing this sort of, or running this sort of program, way before Libra was even a thought. But then moving into that, so that led into a domino effect. And then the G7, along with the Federal Reserve, released reports on the negative impact stablecoins can actually have on the financial system. Why do you believe these governing bodies made these points? Where did that stem from?
Well, we've been winning every single conversation with the European regulators we had, because stablecoin to some extent is like cash, but better. It's better in a way that it cannot be counterfeited. There is always a trail, so the transactions are pseudonymous. There are blockchain analytical companies that can address the issue of AML and track the transactions down. And last time I checked, cash is still available across the world, across different countries. So there is no particular use case rejecting this business model or killing this environment or regulation from the scratch, from day one. What's really a challenge is to introduce something that will help entrepreneurs experiment with these business models, with this technology, and to propel the usage of traditional currencies beyond the country's borders. Because when you try to open a European account, banking account, you will face significant challenges and troubles. When you download a stablecoin wallet and accepting a token backed by Ethereum network, it will only take you like a couple seconds. So the simplicity and accessibility is there. It's just the environment that has to catch up to it.
Okay, do you ultimately think that these regulators will be proven wrong?
There'll be a natural process, because regulators are always lagging behind. They have to learn themselves. When we first came to the market with the Bitcoin fund, one of the partners created 7 years ago, nobody understood what we were doing. Like, no auditor or fund administrator could understand or accept this product. But now there are like 200 crypto-focused funds were launched just this year. So it's inevitable that the regulators will catch up and understand there is no harm in this technology, and it just does better for the society.
You guys are doing a lot as of late especially. What's next for STASIS?
We will continue developing the products on top of this stablecoin we launched. So there'll be a lending product where people will be able to put crypto as a collateral in a smart contract and get a stablecoin out of it. There'll be a remittance product. There'll be an acquiring product. Some tourist destination countries charge significant fees. Tourists that are coming with the cards, like plastic cards. And there is also a big case of corporate settlement. We have a couple of big corporations asking us to implement or white label their solution so they can instantly transfer value among their subsidiaries and intermediaries, saving up to 100 basis points per year of direct and indirect costs.
I'd like to thank you very, very much for joining us, Gregory. It was lovely breaking that down with you and talking stablecoins. For all you folks at home watching at blocktv.com, keep on watching for more crypto and blockchain news.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.